Qualifier number 2 in the Red Bull Battlegrounds. The competition, of course, for New York City and all that good stuff. This is Rifkin. I'm casting with Doom and spawning in the lower left corner of the map, playing on Team Naguya. It's going to be Avril Lavigne, also known as Acer Scarlett.
Their opponent spawning in the upper right-hand corner of the map, cross position. The Red Trunks currently up 1-0 in this best of 3 series. In the Red Trunks, from Root Gaming, it is State.
I gotta tell you, PvZ, I know it's in a bit of a fickle place, and there's races and matchups and all that complaints, but I was honestly not expecting State to take game 1, and I'm really impressed that he did. Catching Scarlett off guard is not something easily done.
Yeah, that was impressive, and it caught me off guard for a second there. I thought, you know, okay, maybe he got a queen, maybe he forced a bunch of spine crawlers, but what that did was it forced spine crawlers away from where he wanted to take the engagement. So, I mean, it was an impressive tactic. It definitely caught Scarlett unawares, and I don't know if he's really going to be able to accomplish that on Frost's much larger map. You know, it's not going to be very clear where your opponent is right off the bat, so it's really going to take a little more effort from State here to establish what Scarlett's doing and respond appropriately from there. But, you know, the third base for Scarlett really is going to be tough to take on this map, and I think that may be where some pivotal games happen, especially if State is going to go with this 2-base all-in style once again.
You know, the big thing, too, is let's not forget this is an anywhere spawn map. A lot of people forget that, and what's also worse about this being an anywhere spawn map is the third base is a pain in the ass to take, no matter where they go with it. I mean, you take a look at the third base to the south for a Zerg player, there's that cliff. So easy to put a pylon up there, so easy to cannon that if you want to. And of course, Scarlett going for that very exposed third base. In fact, 3 hatch before pool against the Protoss player, Doom. Can you say ballsy?
Pretty ballsy. And making a statement saying, I'm going to dictate the pace of this game. I'm not going to let you be the one who decides where this game goes. I'm going to do my style, and I'm going to rock everything out from there.
Well, you bet 100% a lot of this is catered to the fact that this is, again, that anywhere spawn map. That State doesn't know it's cross-only, and Scarlett's playing into the fact that it somewhat guarantees that it's not like a 4-gate all-in, that you're not getting slammed with a proxy, anything crazy like that.
Yeah.
Oh, you know what? We should totally give shout-outs to this. We forgot the admins had asked us to the other day. There's qualifiers number 3 and number 4 coming up this weekend, guys. If you want to compete in the Red Bull Battlegrounds, the only requirement is that you're Diamond player in North America. That's it. Those are literally the only rules, and you can sign up and play. So I highly encourage you, this Saturday, this Sunday, qualifiers 3 and 4 will be taking place. You've still got a chance to play for Red Bull. You've still got a chance to go to New York City. I recommend that if you play StarCraft 2, maybe you're only Diamond and you don't stand a chance of winning. It's fun to compete. Go play. Sign up. And we'd love to cast you.
Another thing you can do is if you've got a pro who you know that you want to see and you think has a legitimate shot at taking this tournament, encourage them to sign up. You know, we saw a lot of lesser known names show some really great games yesterday, and if anything, it's going to give them exposure to have them streamed. So, you know, and encourage anyone you know who's in the Grandmasters, Masters level. Even Diamond players can compete, as you mentioned before, Rifkin. So I would love to see a no-name player go to the Red Bull qualifiers and at least, at the very least, improve their play against some of the best in the world. You know, Bomber's going to be at this event. MC's going to be at this event. It's going to be a star-studded lineup in NYC, and I believe I'm going to be there in the VIP section when it goes down.
At least try your hardest to. Anyways, while you're talking, I was going to point out the Stargate did come out of State, so we're going to have some airplay. It's going to be Phoenixes, and I gotta tell you, I love air strategies when it comes from Protoss players. Opening with Phoenixes can be so good, and some players will be really lazy. I don't think Scarlett will be the caustic, lazy player who doesn't make enough, spore crawlers. There's got to be 2 in each mineral line to really protect against Phoenixes, but the scary thing is, this leads to a very predictable game. One player goes Phoenixes, so the other responds with Hydralisk. Thus, we get Colossus on the field leading into that late game of Vipers. It's really up to the... How do I phrase this? Like, the better player to change something in that predictability. To make the game their own and take control of what's happening.
And definitely going to be perhaps throwing Scarlett for a loop here. Not going to be going for the same styles before. In fact, going to be throwing down that third base relatively quickly here is State. So... this is all being done blind, too, which is kind of the crazy part about this, Rifkin.
Well, this is one of the few... Playing blind is part of why he's going for this, I feel. If you get a lot of Phoenixes on the field, chances are, even if you've got a Road Challen coming towards you, 5 Phoenixes can actually help thwart that off, especially with a Photon Overcharge. Now, the one thing about the blindness that I'm worried about is State's going for this quick third. Right now, he doesn't have units on the field to defend this. In fact, his Warp Tech is really late. If Scarlett was hitting him with like a 2-base all, not the case, but if she was hitting with a 2-base all, and this Nexus would fall, easy peasy.
Do you think Scarlett is kind of playing to what she assumes her opponent is doing in that Immortal Sentry all-in? I mean, she could be on tilt at this point thinking like, you know, I've played so many Protosses.
She's got the Spore Crawlers coming down. She knows what's going to come out on the map, and taking a 4th base real quick, and it's not gonna be...
well, I guess at this point those things have to go, of course.
Yeah. If this was still blind, maybe, but having already seen the Phoenixes, getting the Spore Crawlers up, she's perfectly reacting this. And the reason she's taking this quick 4th is because Phoenixes can't lift buildings up. I mean, if you can sit and turtle on 3 bases, that's fine, but really, what are you going to do other than hide within the Spore Crawler? So by getting this 4th hatchery up, it's another option to have more on the field. And actually, I really like this extra Spore Crawler coming down to guard the transferring drones.
State being very active with these Phoenixes, getting and picking off units wherever he can. And behind this, a lot of gateways going down at that 3rd base. In the main base as well, he's got a single gateway followed by 2 at the natural. So it's going to be a total of 7 gates at this point. Ooh, an additional 2 going to be added on as well. So it's going to go up to 9 gates in total off of 3 bases here. And the Spire going to go down for Scarlett. So, do you think this may be a later Muta transition, or is she just going to be throwing down some Corruptors to kind of complement her army moving forward? Maybe it's going to be for later for Mutas, but if anything, the Hydra should be able to deflect against these Phoenixes in combo with the Spore Crawler complete, but State has recognized that the 4th base is down for Scarlett here to the southwestern portion of the map, and here we go. Yep, Hydras are going to be pushing away those Phoenixes, and considering the fact that State isn't adding on more Phoenixes, I believe that Spire transition could possibly mean Mutas are coming out.
Well, Charge is going to allow these Zealots to connect to the Hydras, that much is for certain. Of course, the Phoenix is going to be able to pick up the Hydras and do a ton of damage, but I think upon seeing how much is on the field, State's going to be a little hesitant to take this engagement. I like this, but this is what I was talking about earlier, by the way, of changing the course of the game. Rather than going for quick Colossus and being predictable, State's getting that Templar Archives. He's going for Storms. A Storm does as much damage as Hydralisk has health, and if you've got Charge Lots underneath, that's so much the better.
Alright, well, ground weapons level 2 just being started over here for State. Going to be chrono boosting that out. I guess he's going to be backing up thinking, okay, you know, I really don't have that big of an army right now. Looking over at the overall army supplies, 36 is the deficit that State's currently at to 57 of Scarlett, and it is going to be those Mutas with that +1 flyer attacks on the way, Rifkin.
This is really cool. I like this a lot. So typically if you go for a Stargate early, you assume your opponent's never going to go to Mutalisk because Phoenix is just straight up countering Mutalisk. But Scarlett, taking a 5th base so boldly with Mutalisk on the field, is going to find State with a lot of ground units. Yes, there are Archons here, but you can Magic Box over the Archons. You can actually kill Archons with the Hydralisk on the field as well. So these Mutalisks are actually going to be incredibly well planned. If State sees this coming, he'll throw down another Stargate though. He'll get Anya and Pulse Crystals, and Phoenixes will run. They'll just run the course of the game. Mutalisk won't stand a chance. But he has to see this coming, and oh no, he's losing the Phoenixes. This is huge. Suddenly now he doesn't have that force to deal with the Mutalisks that are coming out to him.
Yeah, and this has been a relatively passive game so far, Rifkin. There's only really been about 20 units killed so far. Those Phoenixes make up a big part of that, but big Zealot warp into the south of the map here. That 5th base from Scarlett going to be dropping, but a big engagement going down the middle of the field. Oh,
the Archon's doing a lot of damage, but they can't connect, so we see the recall, leaving 2 of the Archons behind, though. A little bit of a desperation recall. I think he could have taken this fight, though. The recall perhaps a little unnecessary. It was panic to deal with the Mutalisk, of course, not because he was scared of the force in the middle of the map, but as he continues to reinforce with these Zealots, Archon is going to go down, and there's no anti-air here. All the Hydras have evaporated, but Scarlett is transitioning into Mutalisks and Zerglings. And oh no, Doom, these Archons are actually trapped within the Sim City of this 3rd base. State has 2 very important units that are going to be useless, but hitting the 3rd base right now, hitting the 4th base right now, State is hitting multiple locations at the same time, and Scarlett is suffering losses, but
he'll is going to drop too, Rifkin.
Yeah, State's going to get cleaned up, however. The Mutalisk account is getting out of control, and State has not chosen to go with double Stargate, but instead going for Blink Stalkers and Archons to be the primary way he's going to counter this. He started investing in Phoenixes, but there's the 2nd Stargate. There's the 3rd Stargate coming out, And we should probably see a fleet beacon to follow suit. But producing 3 Phoenixes at a time, they're the cheapest air units that you have, and they're such an easy counter to these Mutalisks. However, they do struggle dealing with the Ling flood underneath them. They don't have the energy to Graviton Beam enough units.
So it's going to be very curious to see if Scarlett is going to remain, how long she's going to remain on this Mutalisk tech. Taking the 4th base to the north now, going to opt for that, immediately getting those gases up as well. So I assume we're going to see a tech switch out of her here, especially considering that melee attacks level 1 is coming. If it's going to be just straight Lings, that's going to be great, but I would love to see later in the game maybe some Ultras on the field. But no Infestation Pit down yet, still on Lair tech.
Forced to kill a gateway to get those 4 Archons out and a pylon. Kind of sucks for State. That was the most awkward recall ever earlier, but these units going to be absolutely necessary. The splash damage, the bonus versus biological. Archons are good, just period. But look at this, has to tear down another gateway because he's stuck within his own base. Here come the Phoenixes, though. Here.
Scarlett's got to be very careful to engage against that. A lot of splash damage.
Oh,
but the Phoenix is getting too close to the Mutas.
Oh, State was
the core gonna drop.
Major miscontrol is the only way I can describe that. It's a little unfortunate because
so many of them going to be harmed by those Archons. Got to be very, very careful. Does Scarlett to not make a mistake and get too close, but back at home here, man.
Look at the
3
map.
Phoenix at a time.
It's not only that, but there's all the bases coming down for Scarlett. All of the map control. She doesn't have insane creep spread, but there's nothing State can do to stop this.
She's got ultimate vision and going to be mixing in corruptors here, anticipating the fact that Phoenixes are coming out. Those Mutalisks are clumped up, going to take an Archon on one.
But here we go. This is the control that State needed to have earlier. Dancing in and out with these Mutalisks, playing so elegantly. And of course, the Phoenixes, they outrange the Mutalisks even without the Canyon Pulse upgrades. Oh, is forced to depower 2 of his gateways to get into his base, but necessary. Meanwhile, Lings look to be hitting the 3rd. That cannon is not going to be touched for a long time. Oh, with the Archons moving to intercept, the Mutalisks are going to realize there's a hole in the wall at the bottom of the sea at the natural base.
That's their base. I don't know if this is going to survive here, and the natural is undersold by the Mutas, so Scarlett doing a much better job at multitasking.
Oh, but
meanwhile, she's establishing those bases you mentioned before.
State keeps going for these sort of YOLO moves with the Phoenixes. That's not how you play with them. The next over the 3rd does remain standing just barely, though, Doom. Oh my god. But with the fleet beacon... Well, the fleet beacon completed. Has he started the upgrades yet? No. So, for those who don't know, the Annual Pulse Crystals gives Phoenixes extra range, which allows them to outrange the Mutalisks by and large. But also, oh, big hit with those Archons.
Oh, monstrous.
I was gonna
beyond this. Oh, go for it.
Well, I was gonna say he needs to get the Annual Pulse Crystals on the field if he wants to contend with the Corruptors. The Corruptors, simply put, will deal with the Phoenixes, allowing the Mutalisks to actually live and dance. You know, you just leave the Corruptors on sort of attack move, and you fly around them with your Mutalisks, and the Phoenixes can't touch you. They'll be too busy with the Corruptors, but State in such a tricky spot right now. Archons are out in the middle of the field. I think he wants to push and go, but realizes he's got to come back home to defend.
Absolutely. With no 3rd base up, this is a tricky spot indeed. The income is about half of that for State as it is for Scarlett. Scarlett's economy has essentially been untouched, and with State being forced back to his base over and over again, and the Corruptor count now getting out of control, these Phoenixes, they really can't even get to the Mutas because the Corruptors are serving basically as static turrets that are just defending them the entire time.
I mean, when you go mass Phoenixes, you should win against this composition, but without the correct upgrades and without the correct moving, Phoenixes just don't stand a chance. And State, here we go. 4 Archons, 5 Zealots are his last hope to cause a lot of damage across the field, but there's no way he can possibly match the damage that Scarlett's dishing out to him. These gateways all going down. This cuts out so many warp and so many possibilities of reinforcements just gone. 3rd base no longer available, and Scarlett's taking losses, but not nearly as fast as State. She's even taking extra bases while this is going on. She has got control of this game since like 10 minutes ago.
Making it twerk, Rifkin. It is out of control here. Staying on that air tech, saying, I don't even care if you're going to go for those Phoenixes. It's not going to matter. 3rd base, or 4th base is going to drop over here, but...
Oh, the Phoenixes. All the Phoenixes getting wiped out by the Corruptors.
Wow. And the Archon's getting cleaned up, and looking at the unit county station here for State, his army supply is none.
Double G's.
GG.
And that's going to send us to Game 3.